Cool. So we are recording the session. Let's get started with AUDCAD. We'll go up to a daily. We'll delete whatever's not necessary. We'll adjust for the following week, and then we're good to go. So yes, we're doing this analysis on a Friday. So market is still open. Obviously, anything can happen in between now and whenever market closes. But we'll deal with the information that is on the chart, and then obviously hope that nothing much changes between now and when the market closes. It's only a few hours. Otherwise, AUDCAD. Let's see what's going on in the chats. I will check the chats. If you guys have questions, I see Aya saying all good, all good, all good. Nice, bro. Nice, bro. If you guys do have questions, just drop the questions there. And then in between every pair, I'll just go and check the chats. Just make sure that everyone's on the same page before we move on. But yeah, AC. So AC, basically, we've got momentum. Daily chart, we've got momentum to the upside. Obviously, we want to trade in the direction of this momentum. We've got a nice corrective structure there. How do we know that it's corrective? We're looking at, obviously, the structure. The structure, we're obviously seeing our support being broken below, broken back above, broken below, broken back above. So obviously we're seeing corrective price action moving down. We saw impulsive price action moving to the upside. So we know that this is the direction that momentum is. Momentum did manage to break a couple of levels of structure over there. So we want to trade in the direction of that momentum on a daily, right? So getting down to things, let's adjust for this price action because we can see that for the past 2 days, maybe we can say 3 days, but I think we can say safely for the past 2 days, there's been a massive amount of sellers. And I guess it goes to say, yes, we probably maybe didn't find an entry. Price did tap into our POI and we maybe didn't find an entry. And we were looking for a deeper tap, or at least I was expecting price to come back for a little bit of a deeper tap. But you guys can see that maybe because, or at least we've got in indication from price action, right? After we tapped into this POI, we didn't break and create a new higher high. So obviously there still was not enough demand for higher prices. Price action did speak. If we read the price action, we would have seen what's going on. Otherwise, we did push to the downside. Does that destroy our whole bullish bias and all of those things? No, it absolutely doesn't. What it does is it actually gives us a better trading opportunity because we see price action is lower. The lower price action goes, the more buyers obviously will find value in price action. And the lower it goes for us, the better the risk to reward and the better it is in terms of where we've been wanting to trade. So if we go back, I think it was 3 weeks ago, because last week we didn't have a session. Unfortunately, load shedding hit me. It wasn't load shedding. I think they stole our cables because we were off the entire weekend, but not related to our analysis. Otherwise, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we did say that price did tap. We still have this red line over here. Price did tap into this POI, this momentum shift over there. Obviously, we have an area that's a little bit deeper that we've been looking for. And we did say that, okay, cool, price did tap. Price can run away and give us a new high break above this high. We don't know how much demand price received when it tapped into this POI, but we would like to see price action give us a little bit of a deeper tap into this POI. And obviously, now that price action has pushed down below this POI that we were looking to trade inside of in the space of last week, we got a reaction, no follow through. All and well, now it sets us up for that overall setup that we've been looking for the longest of time. So AC, very simple, very, very, very simple. Adjusting for structure, we'll just stretch this a little bit there, just so that we know where our support is. All I'll do with my resistance is I'll just accommodate for this new high that price gave us there. Cool, we broke it slightly out of the trend line, back into the trend line, but it's not anything fancy. It's not anything that should scare us because we do understand that we are in a corrective price action. We should be seeing corrective nature, which is price action breaking our levels of structure and breaking back into our levels of structure. So otherwise, on a daily, we're bullish bias. Is simple enough. We're waiting for price action to break below this low over here. I don't even think we need to go down to a 4-hour because our job is simple. Price action breaks below this low. We've got our POI over there. Our job is very simple. Once price action breaks below this low, our eyes are focused on reversal structures that terminate somewhere inside of our POI so that we can find an entry, obviously, long. Nice and simple. We're gonna trade. Obviously, keep it nice and simple. Let's not be extra extravagant. If we maybe do find ourselves inside a nice swing with a good entry or whatever, maybe not 90% rule all up there, ridiculous RR. Let's just target these highs over here because we can clearly see that there is someone that has been selling from these highs over there. That's where the seller is sitting, and obviously this is where price action can react if we do get a nice entry and price does buy. This is the next major area where price can react from. So otherwise, let's just be conservative. Entry here, exit there, keep it nice and simple. Hopefully that's good enough RR for us to make it worth our while. Let's go on to the next pair. Let me check the chats there. Nothing in the chats. Let's go on to some AJ. So AJ, maybe we'll put AJ on the watch list. Let's just do some analysis because I've been waiting for AJ to just turn around and show us some sell side momentum. I'm not 100% sure whether we can say it's in because things are still looking extra choppy. Maybe let's just leave it. Maybe let's just leave it. Let's not waste too much time. We are moving sideways on a higher time frame, so we can get extra destroyed on a lower time frame. So unless maybe we get a very clear structure that gives us good probabilities for a sell, I'm not comfortable in buying AJ or any of the JPY code pairs because I'm just hoping. I keep on forgetting who's this guy's name, but I am just hoping that some sense comes into that minister of the BOJ, the Bank of Japan, and he starts to think on his own. Because when he starts to think on his own, the economy, or at least money, will start to flow where it's supposed to flow, which is into the JPY. A little bit of a safe haven asset, especially if crap hits the fan sometime soon, because everyone's buying into this AI bubble. And if you guys see where the bubble is, in a very dangerous place because it's not this the speculation that's going on in US30 and NASDAQ is very dangerous right now. This is not a bubble like GameStop, or this is a bubble of the world's biggest businesses and whatever. When this bubble does pop, it's going to be very nasty. It's going to be very nasty. But anyway, we'll speak about it maybe if we've got some time when we get to those pairs. Let's go on to something a little bit more interesting, some AU. So AU, let's just focus on the most recent price action. So if we just recap just a little bit so that we we fight our bullish bias, or at least why one might have a bullish bias, but maybe we'll talk about both sides of the coin. But I am still kind of bullish on AU. Main reasons are because of we've got some momentum, right? This momentum did manage to give us, let me just move this thing higher there. This momentum did manage to give us a new higher higher. That's why we've got this line over there. Yes, we reacted from this resistance area over there, but we did create a new higher high. After we see this momentum that reversed all the sell side momentum. So obviously someone was willing to sell, but we see an equal amount of people obviously willing to buy. So I do know someone somewhere in the world is a buyer. After we see this momentum, we've got some corrective price action. So now I know which direction the momentum is. I know what environment I'm in. And obviously I want to trade in the direction of the momentum because I might hit TP a little bit faster. So let's just be bullish. Let's come to the most recent price action before we go down to the 4-hour. Let's just look at just the most recent price action, because remember on AU we always have, or we've spoken about like a couple of different scenarios. So I think maybe even now we might have two scenarios. Okay, in terms of our resistance trend line, I still don't want to add a resistance trend line. I'm not comfortable in adding a resistance trend line. Price action is doing something in between. Okay, if we look at just this resistance and this support over here where this seller came inside there, price action has been working this high and this low. No matter how you want to look at what structure you want to call this thing, I just see resistance. Yes, price action did break above the resistance, but obviously we broke back into. If you want to expand the range to this high and this low, all and well be it, but we are moving sideways. So if the thing is too confusing for you to put a name on it and some English, all you need to do is simply enough, just understand the environment so you know how you should be responding, or at least what type of risk you should be taking in this environment. We're moving sideways. You can be a buyer, you can be a seller, you'll still make money, right? We're inside some sort of a range. So what I want to do, if I'm in a range, if I'm moving sideways, the safest thing to do is always trade the extremes. Look to buy at the lows, look to sell from the highs. So whether I choose to take this as my low or I choose this most recent momentum over here, which is what I actually want to do. The reason why I want to take this momentum here is because this momentum did manage to break a level of structure. Remember, I want to be a buyer, right? Now I'm seeing on a daily chart, I see resistance being broken. So I know that someone somewhere is willing to buy, and whoever's willing to buy is maybe there's a little bit more volume than whoever sold from this resistance here, because we did create a new higher high. So inside of this momentum, there could be the buyer. So obviously the safest, it looks like our two scenarios are going to turn into one, because it does anyway look like the safest place for us to trade is at this low or somewhere at this low. And we do have two POIs that we're looking for at this low. So maybe let's not be happy chappy about trying to enter inside of here. Let's save ourselves the drama and the stress, the money maybe, and we'll try and just look for trades at that low. But anyway, let's just go down to the 4 hour, look at those POIs so that we do understand why those POIs are there, why are they important to us, and then we'll conclude with a trading idea. So otherwise, we've got this low over here, equal lows if you want to call it that, looking absolutely beautiful. We've got equal lows. Okay, this setup obviously failed. What we were looking for last week was I was expecting price action to follow through on the momentum. But anyway, if you guys remember some of the analysis from 2 weeks ago, because last week we didn't have analysis, we didn't do the analysis, we did say that we're waiting for this high to be broken for us to be able to use this as a point of interest for us to look for longs. And obviously, if we don't break this high, then we will look for trades down here, because obviously this is a lot lower. We've got better risk to reward ratio trading from here. We've got good places to put our stop loss, all that nice, good English. Cool. Price reacted, but there was no follow through. We didn't break any new higher highs. We know that there was no demand, obviously, for higher prices. Price action is always going to show us the truth. We broke down below. So obviously we see that there's a lot of momentum breaking down. Let's just wait for price. Let's not try and trade inside of anywhere inside of here. Let's hope that price action just keeps the sell side momentum and we just break nice and simple and fast so that we don't do something stupid inside of here before price action breaks this low. But once price breaks this low, we're looking for reversal structures, be it a descending structure, be it a whatever you want to call it. But we do have two POIs, obviously, that we're looking for our setups. Regardless of where price action decides to terminate, I will be looking for a long entry inside one of these two POIs. So obviously this one here, there's our bullish engulfing. Why is my screen doing things, funny stuff like this? Here's our bullish engulfing over there. Obviously, that's our momentum shift, our source of buyers that managed to break levels of structure if we look left. And then obviously we've got this low over here, this nice big bullish engulfing over there. Obviously, we know this was a source of momentum buyers that also managed to break other levels of structure all the way to the upside. So obviously, if we want to buy, let's buy where we see other volume buying, because we don't move the market, the volume moves the market. And obviously, if we buy where we see other volume buying, we'll be able to be, or at least find a better entry in terms of stop losses. We know that if price action breaks this POI, even by a single pip or by a single point or whatever chart you're looking at, even if price action breaks it by 1 point, this point of interest is not valid, because if this buyer was there, if this buyer was honestly there and he was watching his chart, he would never make whoever sold in that red candlestick that we used to highlight our POI, he would never make that person come into profit. He would never make price action go below that red candlestick. He will forever keep whoever decided to sell in this bear trap will forever be in a negative until they close their position, because if there's demand, we're going to break higher resistance, whatever the case is. So otherwise, let's look to trade where we see other people doing the things to be done. AU, we're bullish. Setup is looking nice. If you want to adjust the structure and all that nice good stuff, just accommodate and include for your new lows. Don't add a resistance trend line yet. Still don't feel comfortable doing it. Let's go on to New Zealand dollar CAD. We'll go up to that daily. Check the chats. Nothing in the chats there. Nice. We're all up to speed. So NC, just think about what happened on AUDCAD when we're talking about New Zealand dollar CAD, and then we'll be very, very quick. So New Zealand dollar CAD on a daily, things are quite obvious. We've got a massive amount of buyers, and then we've got a corrective structure. So obviously we want to be bullish because we see the momentum is to the upside. So for us to be bullish, remember at any chart, you can be a buyer, you can be a seller. What matters is that if the market is buying, where is your best place to buy with the best probabilities? If you want to be a seller, where is your best place to sell with your best probabilities? So you can make any decision on any chart in any direction. Obviously, you trade where you're going to have the most well-managed risk and the best reward for that risk that you're going to take. coming to New Zealand dollar CAD, we want to be bullish, obviously, because we see all of these buyers over here. So obviously, we're going to be looking for safe places to try and be buyers inside of whatever's going on here. So I still don't want to adjust my trend line. I don't think it's necessary because I have a low over here. Price broke below that low. Obviously, we've broken back above this low. So I just know that whatever's going on inside. Okay, let me just delete all of this blue stuff before we go too far and my charts are dirty. And then after the session, I must be lonely and come back and delete stuff by myself. So let's do it together. Otherwise, the only information that's really necessary for me is that there's something complex going on inside of here. I see corrective price action because it doesn't matter whether I look at resistance, whether I look at support. I see my low, price broke below, I broke back above. I see my high, price broke above, we broke back below. So whatever's forming inside of here, it's some sort of a complex corrective structure. And if I'm in a corrective structure, the safest thing for me to do is one of two things. I'm either trading my extreme high or my extreme low, or I'm looking for chart patterns that are going to give me an indication on where the next momentum could come in. Obviously, because I want to trade in the direction of the momentum. But since since I want to be bullish on a daily, because I obviously see bullish momentum, and then we can also add the fact that we just broke resistance now. Yes, maybe we broke below this POI, but that doesn't mean that the buyers still probably maybe not inside of this move. If we break below here, fine. We're just coming to where else we can buy. But if we don't break below there, what other plan are we going to make inside of here to try and be a buyer if this buyer is still in the market? So let's go down to a 4-hour and see what's going on there. We'll delete all of the other stuff that's from last week. Yeah, I was a little bit salty. I ended up still holding one position from here, and this week took me out and kept on pushing. And I was a little bit salty. And then it came back down, and my heart was fine. I was soothed that the market didn't run without me and just leave me without anything. But yeah, it's just the environment, guys. The environment just is what it is. Let's just include for our new resistance that we have over there. In terms of support, do we want to force a support? Let's not force a support, but delete all of these POIs because obviously prices violated these POIs. We look at our lowest POI, and this is our move inside there. I see our bullish engulfing over there. Obviously, that's our momentum shift. If we want to add some extra layers of confluence, or whatever, we've got this daily support structure over there that we broke below, broke back above, and at some future date in time, price can come back to retest this area. So we've got a couple of things going on inside of this POI. So for me, if ever I was to be a buyer, this is the only place where I will be willing to buy because this is the best place for me to put stops, get the best risk to reward ratio, all that nice good stuff. If ever I was to try and be a seller, I've got a break below this low of structure, below this low over here. The only momentum shift that I see is this momentum shift there. So obviously, if you want to be a seller, you exercise patience and you wait for price to come to your supply before you sell, because that's the place where you get the best place to put your stop loss, the best risk to reward ratio, depending on however structure looks by the time it gets there, and stuff that we've repeated 20,000 times in this one session. I don't know why are we going, I undid what I wasn't supposed to. Fine, I'll just delete this later on my own. Cool, but this is the analysis. That's our POI. I'm still bullish on New Zealand dollar CAD, obviously bullish from there. So let's go on to NJ. Okay, so I think NJ is playing our game, but it's playing our game in a way, but it's fine. Guys, let me just say this, right? If you've got a set of rules, if you've got a trading system, a plan or whatever, let's just say your plan is very simple. You trade double tops whenever you see them. Let's not get complicated. You trade a double top whenever you see a double top. If price action does something like this, if your criteria for a double top is that they must be exactly equal, let's just say that's your only criteria, and whenever you see it, you trade it. If ever price does something like this, right? And whether you get into this, let's not even go further to say whether this trade won, whether this trade lost, doesn't really matter. The point is that if you ever get into this trade and it does not really meet your criteria, what that is telling you, because remember that your trading plan and your trading is not just a trading plan to say this is what makes me money. What my trading plan actually is my trading plan is giving me an environment that I am profitable in. That's what my trading plan is telling me. So if I trade double tops that are equal, if ever there's a double top that is not equal, that means that this environment is an environment where my strategy might not win or might not be profitable over a long period of time. Basically, in a nutshell, your strategy is giving you the perfect environment for you to make money. So if ever maybe price action is doing some nonsense and it doesn't fall into your criteria, whether or not it goes in your direction, it's fine if you miss the trade, because you don't have a guarantee that if you kept on taking this type of nonsense that didn't meet your criteria, would you make money over a long space of time. So yeah, fine. I'm a human being. I do get salty when market doesn't do the things to be done. But then at the end of the day, no matter how salty I sound when I'm saying the analysis or doing whatever, if it doesn't meet the criteria, then it just means the environment is not an environment that our strategy might have given us money, whether or not it follows through or what. But otherwise, New Zealand dollar yen. I see something in the chat there. Let me just take this gap while there's a gap. JPY pairs have always felt unpredictable for me, just like CAD. I chose, wait, just like CAD to me, I closed that book. I closed that book. I CAD CAD pairs, I don't know why they're being like this, but for me, CAD pairs specifically were just so textbook. Like I always found the entries that I learned in my textbook, I always found them on CAD pairs. JPY pairs, I like them because for me they were the money pairs. Like I would make in terms of if you enter 0.01 on NJ and 0.01 on maybe AUDCAD and you put a 10 pip TP 10 pip stop loss, you'll see that you'll make a little bit more money on NJ than you'll make on any one of the other pairs. It's kind of like trading a GBP pair, or for example, like GBP pairs. I don't know whether it's just how fast they move in the day or what it is about those pairs, but they just pay a lot. So for me, like these JPY pairs have always been the money pairs. That's why I always just try and keep them there, because when you do find an entry, yeah, they do pay. They do pay. But nonetheless, let's just get into the price action. So we had this overall ascending structure, right? We were at the resistance on a daily. So I'm just going to reference the daily structure while we're on the 4 hour. So on a daily, we've got this resistance. We can see that we're at the third touch there. Fine, that's enough information for us from the daily. All we know from the daily is that we see some sell bias price action, lower lows, lower, excuse me, lower lows, lower highs, characteristics of a downtrend where at resistance. That's kind of our context, that we're at resistance, we should expect sellers, and now we're seeing sort of some sell bias price action. So anyway, let's delete this. I don't know if I want to delete these two POIs. Maybe let's just keep them there so that in our minds we always know that price action had an objective that it could have fulfilled over there. We didn't quite fulfill it, and doesn't mean that price will come back, but it also doesn't mean that price doesn't want to come back. Price could come back here and still give us that entry. So let's just leave it there, fine. But maybe for our plans of how we choose to tackle this, let's also include some other places to make decisions. But otherwise, we do see that price action is doing something weird. I also do want to add that, fine, fair enough. If you want to be a buyer, you can argue your case. You can argue your case to be a buyer. You've got all of this upside momentum. You've got support. Price action broke below, broke back above. You've got this. Price action broke below, back up, broke back above. You've got momentum. And then you've got this sort of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it there. And then you could wait for, I don't know, whatever you want to call it there for you to be a buyer. Fine, you can argue your case. That's why in the beginning I told you that anyone can be a buyer and anyone can be a seller. Obviously, it just depends on the wheels that are turning inside of your head. Let me just say that, because market is absolutely subjective. Someone might feel comfortable being a buyer in a certain condition. Someone else might be comfortable being a seller, and they will both be profitable because they're trading a system that allows them to enter at the right place and make decisions when they're supposed to make those decisions. So nonetheless, what we're going to be doing, if I still want to be a seller, if I still want to be a seller on NJ, the only thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be waiting for a corrective structure, right? Because NJ seems to me like it just wants to run if it wants to run. So otherwise, I don't have a POI that I can use to try and trade inside of all of the sell side momentum, but I do have momentum that managed to break a couple of levels of structure. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for nature's theory, right? Nature's theory meaning that I'm waiting for a corrective structure, or I'm waiting, okay, that was perfect. I'm waiting for a corrective structure, or I'm waiting for some sort of a reversal structure. It doesn't have to be a whatever. It could be an ascending structure, could be momentum that turns into an ascending structure, just any reversal structure that allows me to find probabilities inside of this sell side momentum. And I feel like I'll be comfortable enough to be a seller. If I don't see that, then fine, we just wait. We're not excited. We've got other pairs that are so much more hotter than New Zealand dollar yen. But I would still like to be a seller. Maybe let's just remove this off the watch list. We'll watch the pair, and then because it looks like it's gonna require some patience for us. So we'll remove that there. We'll go on to some US30. I like US30 right now. I like what's happening on US30. Whoever sold US30 last week, I like you and keep on selling because of the context of where we are and what's going on. Fine, we didn't um we didn't, I guess, react from inside of this POI, but we're still reacting from some sort of a resistance. If I just slap on a line over here, US30, I don't think is necessary for us to go on to a daily, but there is some sort of a resistance, and we can see sharp aggressive move away from that resistance. So someone did sell heavily from this price point over here. So otherwise, what I'm looking at when I'm looking at current price action now is I'm taking into account my context. Where are we? What's going on? So if we remember what's been happening for a very long time, because I always tell you guys that we might not remember our old analysis because it influences our current decisions, but we always remember our old analysis because our old analysis had reasons. It gave us an understanding of what nonsense was going on here. So if we go back, we still have, okay, Zoom is ending in 10 minutes. It's all cool. We'll be done in 10 minutes. So otherwise, if we go back here, if we remember a long time ago, I don't remember when it was, but we had this ascending structure. And part of our reasonings for looking at this ascending structure was that whoever decided, okay, cool, there was a big buyer, right? When this big buyer decided to stop buying, they decided to stop buying inside the formation of whatever corrective structure this was, right? So they started exiting or doing whatever. The correction started here and the correction ended here, right? And ever since we had this corrective price action, we had corrective price action in between this price point and this price point. We were obviously able to trade different directions because of the structures that were forming. But if we look at everything on a longer scale, longer period of time, we can see that price has been working. We've been correcting inside of these price points, right? Creating smaller corrective structures, coming down, breaking lows over there. These highs that we form there, maybe giving a little bit equal highs over there, creating more corrective structures there, manipulating these highs there, creating another corrective structure there, coming to break these. So we've been working ever since inside of this high and inside of this low. Someone can argue that we've broken out of the structure nice and impulsively and whatever the case is there, but who's to say that we are not still inside of a corrective structure and we can't break back below the structure? So I would just like to keep that in mind. I am the one that is calling doom and gloom and panic and all those things in this market. I'm waiting for the sell very, very, very patiently. I've got my MT4 with an own account, not MT5, MT4. That account, when I do see the sell, I'm going to sell and I'm going to just hold on for dear life for at least a month. It's going to be so exciting when it does happen. But otherwise, it's impossible to time things, guys. We can't call tops and bottoms, but we can recognize when there is a trend in place. But otherwise, let's just look at the context of what's been going on here. We had resistance. We had that high over there. US30 decided that she wants to do something weird over there. We don't know what this is, but otherwise we were correcting up. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, someone decided to sell. But the information that we're gathering from this is that we've got a lot of momentum that came in for whatever reason that managed to break a level of structure. Where are we? We're at resistance. So I'm just putting puzzle pieces together, analyzing, finding out if I want to be a seller, where can I be a seller and what reasons can I have to sell? Obviously, if you want to be a buyer, there's your POI over there. You can still do things to be buyers. We'll talk about it, but nonetheless, let's just go down to a 1 hour, see what's cooking there. So think about this kind of almost like NJ, in a sense that we have momentum. This is probably going to be our momentum shift. So we want to find an entry inside of here. Maybe price action has tapped over there, but we can obviously come and give some sort of a reversal structure, be it a double top, be it a head and shoulders, be it a whatever. Price can still come back to this area here to still play. So if price does come back and give us some sort of a reversal inside of here, this is a place that I would be comfortable enough to try and find a sell on US30. In terms of a buy, I don't want to buy because I don't have enough risk to reward ratio inside of here. And I don't want to buy inside of this seller, whoever this seller is. I like him and I hope he's here to stay. I don't want to go against him. And I'm going to wait for now, exercise some patience. So on NASDAQ, I think is still in some heavy chop. We're chopping rather than anything. So still NASDAQ, I'll give you the same advice that I've been giving for these pairs here, is that take it day by day, every single day, go on your 15-minute, find the momentum of the day, see who was in control. And obviously you ask yourself one question: am I finding a reversal of whatever momentum I had in Asian session? Am I going to reverse that momentum or am I going to continue the momentum? Some days Asian session is buying, some days we continue the momentum. Other days Asian session is selling, and then we reverse that momentum. So otherwise, you take it day by day, find yourself. Obviously, the entry times, like I told you guys last time, is in between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. You find some nice momentum. Your market will either take you out there and there, or you'll be nice and in. So it's nice to trade then, or in between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, market will take you out there and then, or you'll be nice and in. Otherwise, let's go on to some CAD yen. So NASDAQ, I don't have a directional bias. We take it day by day, find support, find resistance, supply and demand. And then we obviously conclude a directional bias. Find a small scalp, because when the higher time frames are tough, we go down in smaller time frames and find small entries. Yeah, we're not looking to hold on when there's all of this chop going on there. So that's why we just take it day by day. We enter scalps here and there, just looking for daily momentum. And that's it. So on CAD yen, yeah, okay. I think CAD yen for me is a little bit more interesting than the other JPY pairs, in a sense that I do have a proper resistance and I do have a proper support. So I've got a nice visualization on where I can be looking for sellers. Otherwise, if I'm looking for sellers, I can see resistance over there, I can see resistance over there, I can see resistance over there. So I know that this is a zone or an area where that if price action does come back up over here, I can be looking for some sort of a structure inside of here. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't have a momentum shift to make an area nice and specific on a 4-hour, but obviously we'll see. If we get a structure, then we can be nice and bearish. The reason why I want to be bearish is obviously because of the higher time frame context. Ascending structure, momentum, we're at the resistance of this ascending structure. On a higher time frame, we saw some seller over there. I'm hoping he's here to stay. And let's try and find downside continuation. So CAD yen, I am bearish. All the JPY code pairs I'm bearish, but I think on CAD yen is giving us the most hope to look for a trading entry. So otherwise, I'm 100% done with the analysis. If there aren't any questions, we've got like 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. If there aren't any questions, we'll call it a session, guys. We'll call it a session. Just checking the chats there. I had to have this session today because power is on now, and I Googled the schedule, but our load shedding doesn't seem to honor the schedule. I don't know if that guy just has an issue with our area or what, but sometimes they give us an extra hour or two, or they forget to pick the switch back up. I don't know. He takes lunch when it's our turn. But guys, I don't see any questions there in the chats. Let there be peace in the streets. Let our brothers and sisters be safe. Let me show my face. Let there be peace in the streets. Kayola, I see you there in the building, man. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you sorted for next week, man. I hope you sorted for next week. Cheers, cheers, cheers there, guys. Aya, I'll see you tomorrow, man. Ayavela, I'll see you tomorrow, man. Cheers, guys.